Remind us what this mission is all about.
Yeah, so this is a fairly kind of routine mission to just essentially, as you said, resupply the space station with a range of experiments, but also essential supplies for the crew that's on there, and replace some parts that normally live on the space station. There's some interesting experiments on there this time, which are actually quite heavily focused around humans' future in space, and how we do long deep space missions. So there's a bioprinting kind of medical device. So if you get a cut or something in space, you can use your own cells to actually kind of create a bio bandage. That's quite interesting. There's even a kind of a space detergent, so they can kind of wash their clothes up there, and various other experiments around how plants live in space and how you can make alloys in space and make them more effectively. So quite an interesting set of experiments on this launch.
Well, and speaking of SpaceX specifically and the technology involved in this, the Dragon that is supporting this mission previously supported the 22nd Commercial Resupply Services mission. Has SpaceX proven the viability of reusable rocket technology?
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly with this current generation. So it's that Dragon capsule sitting on top of a Falcon 9 rocket. The Falcon 9 is essentially now the workhorse of certainly American space launches. That they've put up a number of missions in December, including 2 Starlink rockets, which is their broadband satellite network. So yeah, very much. And we should see today that this is a new Falcon 9 rocket, but they tend to use those a number of times, and that will be coming back and making a spectacular landing somewhere, shortly after launch, and they'll reuse that again for another mission in the near future. So yeah, very much a proven reusable system. But the next generation of Starship is where they're actually putting a lot of their investment dollars now.
So let's listen in to these live pictures.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition.
Liftoff. Cargo Dragon soars with the final supply run in 2021 for the astronauts aboard the International Space Station.
Downrange.
Stage 1 chamber pressure is nominal.
You can see him passing through the cloud layers right now. Next up, in just a few seconds here, is Max Q. This is where the vehicle will experience the highest amount of aerodynamic pressures.
We are still looking at pictures. We're about just a few seconds away from the main engine cutoff. Again, this is the process of eventually returning the rocket back down. So we're looking at those pictures now. Matt, I do wonder, when we look at companies like SpaceX, we look at these other rocket missions, be it Blue Origin or others, what does the mix look like for profitability in terms of cooperating with NASA versus commercial flight?
Ignition of our Merlin vacuum engine.
Well, I think certainly for SpaceX, it's quite a interdependent kind of financial system, if you like. Their business model is, a mixture of, using these NASA projects. There's these $3 billion they'll get from NASA for the next Mars mission, for the moon mission, will help SpaceX's own ambitions to take people to Mars. So they'll be using that money to fund their own R&D, which I guess hopefully ultimately they will kind of turn into a commercial program of their own.
One of the things I find very interesting is that they brought up Tide to Go pens and Tide to Go wipes, the cleaning product. Why?
Yeah, so again, this kind of ties back. So, astronauts need to wear clothes when they're up there. They don't have washing machines, and there's also limited space on these resupplies. So, they have to kind of re-wear clothes and be quite careful about, what they're wearing and how often. But, and they have to wait for the next rocket to come up to give them some fresh clothes. So the idea here is, not just for the ISS, but for, kind of future space travelers. Well, how do you actually kind of wash clothes in a zero gravity environment where you don't have traditional washing machines? hygiene and water and all those things. So yeah, this is an experiment with Tide to kind of come up with a totally biodegradable detergent that will work in microgravity and not create all sorts of kind of unwanted byproducts. So yeah, another example of all of these kind of minute details you need to think about if you're going to actually send people on long duration journeys in space. But inevitably, I'm sure Tide will find some uses and benefits of this on Earth, and obviously having something that's completely biodegradable is very relevant to the times we live on Earth, and being much more environmentally sensitive.